Okay, I just want to show you guys something. This is just random. It's chapter 18 of Revelation about Babylon. He said, after these things, whenever he says that, I'm thinking to myself, he's doing them in chunks. That's why they're not really in order. He's saying, after these visions, and then sometimes the next things are a whole different subject. Okay, so whatever was before this, it says, for God has put in their hearts to fulfill his will and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast. Good, I'm glad I read this one because I just caught something right here. Okay, see, it says, remember how I'm saying, like, oh, I don't want to give the devil any credit when it's God. God gathers the nations. He's going to put a thought in their mind. He's going to put a hook in their jaw. He's going to gather them personally. I don't want to give Satan the credit that he a flood, and sent all the nations over there, right? But hey, look what I just found. So this is in 18, and he says, for he has judged the great whore. God has judged the great whore, chapter 19, verse 2. For true and righteous are his judgments, for he has judged the great whore, which did corrupt the earth with her fornication. But yet over here, the kings killed her. The 10 kings killed her. So that very well could be the dragon that spews the water out. That could be what starts Ezekiel 38, because she is given 2 wings to fly to the wilderness, which is Jerusalem, and cleaning up for 7 months. I mean, okay, anyway. So that is such a cool thing, how to know that it says Satan is doing this and the kings are doing that and this is doing that. But in the end, it was God. God judged her. So I was just going to point a few things out here to you. Oh, and then like Matthew 24, I could finish that because I kind of found a few things. Let's see. I'm stepping on the choo-choo bag. Okay. So he's starting to say, verse 26, wherefore, if they shall say unto you, behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. That's just, people I think are saying, because he says something about, for wheresoever the carcass is, there the vultures will gather. To me, I think that's just these people maybe giving sacrifices, and they're calling themselves Christ, and hey, I'm a prophet, and they're possessed and loco, and they're probably, doing animal sacrifices. Oh, speaking of that, I want to point something out here to you. Also, maybe it's in this, maybe it was in, the animals are going to be going loco and killing people too. I remember running across that years ago, and then I think it's also, I've cross-referenced it lately. But anyway, yeah, animals are just going to go crazy too, and they are going to be harming people. That's probably how some people will die. You'll probably run across it eventually. I don't know where I saw it. Anyway, let me not use this. So, okay. So yeah, they're going to be doing maybe animal sacrifices to their beast. Who knows what. All right, so it says, believe it not. For as the lightning comes out of the east and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the vultures be gathered together. Okay, so in other words, he's saying, if they're saying, hey, look, Christ is over here, I'm doing an animal sacrifice over here. Jesus basically saying, hey, vultures, when I come, where I will be, there won't be no vultures with a carcass from a sacrifice of whatever the hell they're doing. I'm just guessing, because this stuff doesn't make sense. Kind of, sometimes. So they could be doing animal sacrifices, and they're all like saying, hey, Christ is over here. And Jesus says, don't believe them, because there's a vulture swarming around their little lamb cutthroat thing. And then immediately after the tribulation of those days, we don't know exactly what days, really, honestly, tribulation of, because somewhere else, he's saying, there's never been another tribulation like this known to man, never before, never after again will it be this bad, wherever it is in here. But here, he's saying immediately after the tribulation of those days, meaning like this, well, maybe it is the same thing, but okay, because I think I figured it out, but whatever. Okay, because there's a lot of there's a lot of things like stars falling, but I think this one matches Revelation. I'm not sure. Okay, so after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken, and then shall appear the sign. They said, what is the sign of your coming? And he said, don't be deceived. Don't look over there where the carcass is. Don't look over there where the vultures are. Okay. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. Now, that threw me for a loop, because I knew there's 12 tribes of Israel. So I Googled it, and I said, this verse, I said, are the tribes of the earth and the 12 tribes of Israel the same thing, what they're talking about? They said, no, this is the tribes of the earth. They're just people. They're just people. They see Jesus coming and they're mourning. It's not the Jews. It's not whom they have pierced. It's not the 12 tribes. It's none of that. It said the tribes of the earth shall mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory, because everyone's going to see him. We've already read that verse somewhere else. This is what makes it sound like it's not the very end. He says, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Okay. Even if the days weren't shortened, if it were possible, even the very elect could be fooled. Something about the elect. So maybe this is the rapture, but I also know there's other verses where he's gathering, okay? I just can't give them to you right now. Was this it? It seemed like I had something else. Then let them, so here, When you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoever reads, let him understand. Then let them which are in Judea, now this is Isaiah 11, they're going to fly in on the Philistine shoulders and etc. You got more stuff, a whole bunch of stuff in 11 that sounds great. This is how they're going to flee to the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house, neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes, and woe unto them who are with child, and to them who give suck. So they're pregnant too in those days. But pray you that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. Oh, I also want to share something else. Ooh. Okay. For then shall be the great, for then, when it's flee to the mountains, that's when it's an abomination of desolation. That is right when he resurrects. He says, I am Christ. He goes in the temple and says that. He says, that's when shall be great tribulation. So this first three and a half years has been okay. And these people and Jews and whatever have been going along, getting along without anything, and because he says, for then shall be great tribulation. That's when it begins, the beginning of sorrows, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And the next 3.5 years from that point on are going to be tribulation unknown to civilization ever. Okay. And except those days be shortened. Okay. Then this is also when the whore of Babylon is killed. Okay. That's the same day. I don't know if it's the same day, but the 10 kings kill the whore who is the city of Babylon that falls in 1 hour. So I'll read all that to you. Because then he goes, then if any man shall say unto you, lo, here is the Christ. Okay, I think I read you all that. Okay, then now here. And 18 is also in 14 because he's talking about the whore in 14. No, because the 14 is where all the angels show up. Those 3 angels I found out. So the first angel, wait, hold on. Okay, so see, this is ahead of 18, and it says, a lamb, and I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion. This ain't the cloud, y'all. It's on the Mount of Olives. Hello. Okay. And with him 144,000 that he marked in chapter 7, having his father's name written in their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven as the voice of many waters and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps. And they sung as it were a new song before the throne. Mount Zion, standing Lamb, Jesus on Mount Zion. And they sung as it were a new song before the throne. Do you think the throne is here now in Mount Zion? Because in other places in here, it talks about there is no more temple. Well, because God and Jesus are. But anyway, I'm just pointing that out. They sung as it were a new song before the throne. and before the 4 beasts and the elders. They are mentioned about 4 times worshiping. Probably. This is like the 3rd time. Okay? And no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed in Joel. The last verse in Joel, it says he cleansed their blood. Something like that. Okay? This says redeemed from the earth. Everybody's trying to figure out, 144,000 virgins who never cursed or lied or did anything. They're just like Jesus. Perfect. I don't think so. They were redeemed. Just like I'm redeemed, you're redeemed. They were redeemed, and they're the first fruits. So, okay, these are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. But hey, maybe it's a real thing. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goes. And the Lamb stood, and Zechariah 14 says he now rules the nations. Okay? So he's roaming around the nations, and they're following him, is what I think. And then these were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto God and to the Lamb. And in their mouth was found no guile for hypocrisy, for they are without fault before the throne of God. Yet they're following Jesus around. Maybe God's up there on the throne looking down at them following Jesus around. So which is it? Mount Zion or the throne in heaven? See? It's probably Zechariah 14. Anyway, that's not what I was going to point out. So this isn't even the chapter I was on, but here. And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach. They're flying around in the sky, in heaven. And they have the everlasting gospel, one angel. Everlasting gospel to preach unto them who dwell on the earth. This is the beginning of the second part of the trip. The beginning of the next 3.5 years. And you'll see. Because I'm going to read you 18. So here's 14 comes first. But this hasn't happened yet. 18 hasn't happened yet. But in 14 is after 18 has happened. Okay? See how it is? So this one is having the everlasting. This is the beginning of the second half of the tribulation. So she is having the everlasting gospel preached unto them who dwell on earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people. Okay? Saying with a loud voice, fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come. Babylon falls in 1 hour. The whore is Babylon. For the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him who made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of waters. And there followed another angel saying, Babylon has fallen. Babylon is fallen, that great city. This is in 14. 18 is when she is mentioned. Okay, so, where was I? Okay, because she made, okay, it's calling Babylon a she, and the whore hasn't even been mentioned yet. I think the first mention of the whore is in 18. Some of these things I write down on my note. I'll say first mention, because when I was writing down the beast, which one did I write? Yeah. Beast from abyss. First mention is Revelation 11. First mention 11, where he kills the two witnesses, but yet they talk about him in 17. See, it's like this is speaking destruction of the thing, but later it'll describe the thing before it was destructed. You know? Then there was another first mention that first mention of the whore, chapter 17. But yet it's talking about the whore right here getting fallen in an hour. So anyway, it just took me a while to figure that out. So, okay, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image. This doesn't happen yet. But the angel is in 14 saying, don't do it. But the beast isn't indwelt yet until first mention is the beast from the abyss. First mention is 11. Okay, so they've already mentioned him in Revelation 11, but they don't say, the first mention of the beast from the abyss is he's coming up to kill the two witnesses. It doesn't really explain the beast as the deadly head wound until 17. Chapter 17. They're talking about his headly. They're talking that he's, okay, but here the angel in 14 is saying don't worship him or take his mark. But he doesn't even exist yet. But she's saying. So see how it goes back and forth? So if any man worship the beast and his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever. And they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whoever receives the mark of his name. The image is what makes you take the mark. That happens in the very beginning of the second half. I'm saying from what I read, the mark is taken in the second half. He kills the two witnesses at the very beginning of the second half, or either at the very end of the first half. Babylon is the clue, unless these are separate angels, okay, at separate times. But the way I've interpreted all this is Babylon and the whore get killed by the 10 kings. Then the 10 kings give their power to the Antichrist now, who is indwelt. That's when the image is made that makes you take the mark or encourages you to, right? So now in 18, oh, did I finish reading that? Doesn't matter. Okay, but here is the patience of the saints. They say this a couple of places, because the beginning of the Great Tribulation, just like in the Matthew 24, he says this is the beginning of sorrows. Well, that's the beginning of the second half of the trib. That's the beginning of the second 3.5 years Great Tribulation. Then Jesus later on says This is great tribulation, meaning it's toward the end. It's in the middle. It's like not the beginning of the second, okay? Here is the patience of the saints. After that beast has sat in the temple and said, I'm God, all hell is going to break loose. The whore is gone. No more goody goodies. Okay? No more of that. They're all mourning. Well, okay, whatever. Okay, then, sorry. So now these saints are going to go through great tribulation. And he said, this is the patience of the saints. Here are they who keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. And I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, Write, blessed are the dead which die in the Lord from here on out. Right. After the second half begins, the Great Tribulation begins, from here on out, says, Blessed are the dead which die in the Lord. They're saved from henceforth, from here on out. Yes, says the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them. Because there's that verse here in Revelation, it says, the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. So they're prophesying, because I'm going to read in 18. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and upon the cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man. Okay, this is a rainbow. Wait a minute. Okay, this is cool too. You guys, all this, but here, and I forgot what I was even going to say here. And after all these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven. I mean, I could read you all these things line by line and show you what the things I find. Because you may listen to me on my video and think, well, I don't see what she's connecting with that. And because what about this over here and what about that over there? Well, I would probably know what you're talking about, but I don't get on that subject. But, okay. I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. This angel comes down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lighted with this angel's glory. That sounds like Zechariah 14 I wrote down, and run for the hills. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become, okay, this is 18, remember, it's falling, it's describing it to you, and it's just did it too here in 17, because the 10 kings have one mind, and they want to kill her, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast, okay, after they kill her. Okay, here, and this angel came down and lighted the whole earth, just to tell the whole earth mightily and strongly, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils. And, I was going to show you something in here. Okay, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird, for all nations have drunk. See, I think this is a system. It's not just really literally a city. Okay, for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth, not the 10 kings. This is like, say, Mom Donnie, Nancy Pelosi, if she keeps fraudulating, just all these crooked career criminal politicians. that are trying to just store up all this money for the one world government that they're agendaing with the World Economic Forum, and they want a spot in that one world government, is what I think. So, for all nations have drunk of the wine, okay, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. Yeah, they're just fornication. I gave the definition yesterday in a comment, like it's you're cheating on God, you know, which God is not their master, but they're just whoremongers, okay? Okay, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich. See, merchants, the merchants, everything's just going along, y'all, like the days of Noah. Another thing about the days of Noah, when he was witnessing to everybody, they were laughing at him and mocking him, and you better believe it, some of them Nephilim were up in his face doing their little hokey pokey, spooky voodoo shit right in front of him, mocking him with their little special demon powers. I heard that somewhere. I think Alan Nolan said something like that. You know, you better believe it, they were showing off. You know, oh, look, haha, you're so funny, da-da. And they would just do this weird, crazy voodoo stuff, magic. And why did I say that? Just because that's what this is going to be going on. Okay. Through the, like, the four angels from the river Euphrates, that's a 200 million man army. That's just a lot of UFOs, probably. And you know how these people, these New Agers, they love worshiping that kind of crap. Through the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven, another voice, saying, come out of her, my people. There's some people in the system that are his people. They probably have the testimony of Jesus is prophecy. I don't know, but he's saying, come out of her, and this is the beginning of sorrows. It is the beginning of the Great Tribulation. It's the beginning of the second half, the second 3.5 years. And he's saying, come out of her, my people. Isaiah 11 and others, run for the hills, right? Come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins. This happens like right before or right after the beast gets shot and resurrects, and then is possessed. He's the Antichrist. He's going to soon after that or before that go in and declare he is God. They're going to all run for the hills and Babylon, because Babylon got killed. Everybody's upset. They're crying. Until then, whoever were God's people, we're just going along and getting along. They didn't have to take the mark of the beast yet. Nobody did. That happens in this beginning of the second part, when that image tells the people, make an image unto the beast. They make an image, and then he makes it speak. And that speaking is probably saying, you got to take the mark. So here is the beginning, and God says, come out of her. Come out of her, my people. And do not be partakers of her sins. Okay? And I also wrote here 18 verse 1. And after these things saw another angel. 18. Am I reading that right? I don't know. Okay. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God has remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. Remember, he said somewhere else, and their works do follow them. Her works are getting double. He's awful pissed at her. How much she has glorified herself. Has, past tense, because she's dead. Okay? And lived deliciously just like all these career criminal politicians. They're going to be crying. They're crying. It says somewhere, I just read it, or it's somewhere in here, they're all crying. The kings of the earth are mourning her. Oh, here, maybe it's in here. Okay. How much she has glorified herself and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her. For she said in her heart, I sit as queen. Like all these politicians with these smirks on their faces, these evil Cheshire cat grins, these demonic Ohan Ilmar with her. She's like, you stupid Americans, you're never going to catch me. I got all the money and I'm always going to get all the money and you can't stop me. Yeah. For she said these people are sick. For she said in her heart, I sit as queen, and I'm never going to be a widow. I'm sorry, baby. Good baby. You lay down. You relax. I don't get that part because a widow has to be married, doesn't she? So she's like saying, and I am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Yeah, AOC and Ilhan Ilmar, and just and they just look at. I misquoted that resting bitch face. I've heard that, but my sister, one of my sisters, told that to me for the first time like years ago, and the way she's so totally different than I am, and she would do that, and sometimes she'd say, "I'm giving you my resting bitch face," and I'm like, "What are you talking?" Because she's kind of a bitch, but she's proud of it. Some people are. And I mean, it's funny. She's cute, I guess, but yeah, she'll like be a bitch to me, to anybody. And I thought that meant that they're just giving you a look like the lady I shared the short with, Nick Matei, that little goth girl. And she's like they just give you a blank stare, like, yeah, you're retarded. Or, yeah, I mean, that's what I meant by resting bitch face. And then I found out that's not even really what it is. But that's just because my sister doesn't scowl and look like she's mad when she's not. No, when she's mad, she gives you that look like you're a loser and whatever. Okay, so that's what these politicians are doing right now. Whenever you're cheating on the election, they say to Trump, you can't prove it. You can't prove it. I mean, they're so arrogant, you guys. Just like this whore. It's a system. And it's going to be run for 3.5 years until it falls, and it's going to get double. God's really sick and pissed at her. She's going to get double. Everything she dished out, I'm no widow, her arrogance, I sit as queen. She's going to be in pain double that what she was happy. That's what it means. As happy as she was doing her debauchery, her pain is going to outweigh her joy ever was by double. Okay. Therefore shall her plagues, those are basically calamities, come in one day. Because a calamity, a plague, you know what happens to her? She burns. That's a calamity. It's a plague. Okay, in one day. Zechariah says the same stuff. Okay, meaning plague. Come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord God who judges her. Now, somewhere else, maybe in 17, describing her, the 10 kings basically ate her. They killed her, and then they ate her. It's probably in 17. If ever see power, but whatever. You'll find it somewhere in here. That's why my pages are all mangled, because you got to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You got to go, where did I read that? Where did I read that? Okay, so, morning, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord God who judges her. 17 verse 6 is what I wrote as a, let's see. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. And he said, why do you say that? I will show you. I will explain. Filthiness of her fornication, forehead, mystery, something. I don't know where it says that she gets basically gored, kind of like Jezebel did. I mean, maybe not. Okay, and she shall utterly be burned for strong. Okay, and the kings of the earth, not the 10 kings. No, wait. Yeah, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her. Just think of that guy, what's his name? Kahan or something. That's people like that. Like if they're in the trib right now, and because they stole so much and lied so much from the government and to the government and all that, and they frauded and got a lot of money, they're going to be one of these higher ups in the trib, because they've proven that you're a good thief. Oh yeah, you can make good money off for us, and la la la. And they're making all their money off of Babylon, off of the whore. These kings of the earth, they're not the 10 kings, but they're more than 10 kings. So they're the kings of the earth who have committed fornication with this whore, Babylon, and lived deliciously with her, shall bewail her and lament for her. The 10 kings wanted her dead, because they give their power to the beast for an hour. But these kings didn't want her dead. See, they're getting backstabbed, and they deserve it. Okay, when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, and this is the whole world. It's on TV probably, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is your judgment. And the merchants of the earth, also the merchants are weeping, shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buys their merchandise any more. They bait to be having to take the mark of the beast. The merchandise of gold, this is the merchandise, Babylon and the whore that was killing all the saints and the prophets all that time, first 3.5 years. Okay, so the merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and fine linen and purple and silk. See, this is the devil. The perfect example of the devil. He gives you everything you want, but in the end, he takes it away. He takes it away. All this 3.5 years they were merchandising like this, having a high on the hog heyday. The kings of the earth, the merchants, the career politician criminals. Now they don't have that. Not only do they not have that, the beast says, come on, honey, take my mark if you want to buy or sell anything at all anymore. But they thought they was free and clear. We're free to fraudulate, and we're free to buy and sell, and we're living it up, and we're killing all the Republicans and Christians and Jews and whatever. Probably not Jews. Those are probably hidden. or they're in something with this Ezekiel 38 cleaning up for 7 years until they run for the hills. So Satan is taking it all away, and he's saying, you know what? I'm sorry. I gave it all to you, but I'm taking it away, and if you want anything, take my mark. That's what they get. I don't know. Some might be saints, tribulation saints, when they get a clue. So, and purple and silk and scarlet and all fine wood and all manner vessels of ivory and all manner vessels of most precious wood and of brass and iron and marble and cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil. It's probably the best perfume, the best clothing, the best linens and everything. And fine flour, the best food. And wheat, the best food. And beasts, whatever they're doing with that, like cattle to eat. And sheep. And horses. Oh yeah, horses. Oh, this is a thoroughbred over here. And chariots. Oh, look at this car over here. Yeah, they're living it up. And slaves. Yeah. Sex trafficking is fine now, and we're opening up all the prisons. And souls of men. So they got slaves, and they got souls of men that they're merchandising. Prostitution is probably legal, who knows? And the fruits that your soul lusted after are departed from you, and all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from you, and you shall find them no more at all. The merchants of these things, which were made rich by her, the merchants were made rich by her, and so were the kings, which were made rich, shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing and saying, alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. So, no more luxury. It's the beast only for you. Okay? For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught, and every ship master and all the company in ships on the ocean, and sailors, and as many as trade by sea, stood afar off and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? See, they're already primed to take the mark of the beast because they're so worshipy, covetous, lusting. Now, I guess the prophets and saints are probably, they're not doing all this, but they're in it because they're probably maybe on the boats or they're doing the slave labor, who knows? Because God says, remember, come out of her, my people. She's about to fall. Kind of like what the Jews say. They're like, y'all get out the way. We're about to bomb everything. But anyway, God says, come out of her, my people. Don't take part in her whatever. So these people are already seared with covetous, what is the word? Fornication. And they're probably going to take the mark. But because the saints and the prophets that are all running around that are going to get killed, that haven't gotten killed by her yet, and they have now going to be great tribulation saints because this has begun, the beginning of sorrows, and they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, that great city wherein were made rich all who had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness, for in 1 hour she is made desolate. Rejoice over her, you heaven, and you holy apostles and prophets. Rejoice over her death. For God has avenged you on her. This is why I think those ones under the altar, the first 3.5 years she was killing all of them, that's who I think they are. That's who Jesus is talking. First he's saying, come out of her, my people. That's a different set going somewhere else, maybe in the mountain of Zion. But here he's saying to the heaven, he's saying, you holy apostles and prophets, for God has avenged you on her. And a mighty angel took up a stone. Now, this isn't saying, y'all under the altar rejoice over her, but he's saying, everybody in heaven. He's talking to everybody in heaven that she killed. Because he said, I have avenged you of her. I killed her for you. She killed you. I killed her. And now he's saying, rejoice. Rejoice over her, you heaven. And you holy apostles and prophets. For God has avenged you on her. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone. You know, the kind Jesus says, wrap around your neck if you offend one of these little ones. It doesn't mean just children. It means like a feeble-minded person. You know, even here in Revelation, it says that if you lead into captivity, you're going to go into captivity. If you use the sword, you will die by the sword. That's why Jesus even said, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Peter cut his ear off, and Jesus had to put the ear back on and say, no, don't use the sword. So if you're going to be apprehended in the trib, don't try to protect yourself by shooting somebody. Let them take you. I mean, hey, but I thought of that. I'm like, those who live by the sword die by the sword. Well, maybe I want to die. Maybe I want them to shoot me back. And get out of here. But I don't. Maybe he means die as in, you know, die like eternal death, because Jesus conquered death. I mean, I don't know, whatever. Okay, rejoice over her. Okay, and a mighty angel took up a stone, okay, and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. Okay. So I guess after she has fallen in 1 hour, an angel, a mighty angel, takes a stone and plunges a great millstone into the sea. And while she's doing that, she's saying, thus with violence, unless this is a before it happens, because it's already happened. So anyway, and the voice of harpers and musicians and of pipers and trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in you, in Babylon, in that city, or in that system. Okay? There's no more joy. In other words, no more music in that system. And no craftsman of whatsoever craft he be. This more like sounds like socialism, right? Like Rubio was describing. It's all gray. Everything's gray. Yeah, there's no imagination. There's no building anything or creating anything. Okay? Shall be found any more in you. And see, isn't Satan the epitome of socialism, Marxism? He's just very strangling. Yeah, very controlling, suffocating, murderous. And they're probably getting it here. In the beginning, they're like, oh, this is so cool. This is our kind of socialism right here. Yeah, we're sharing, we're mushing and meshing and hormonging and killing all the good people. Okay? But then the beast, he takes it away. Satan takes everything away, says, ha ha, I tricked you, and makes it socialism. You take my mark. No more music, no more fun. And now all you kings of the earth and merchants who were stealing and fraudulating for a living, and so that now you became kings in the tribulation, you're my servants now, Satan says. And I forgot what I was going to say. It was not different. It was something different, but it's like they thought they were serving the devil and he was fun. The tribulation started. They were getting rich. They're like, hey, we have a kingdom now because we stole so much. We were the top stealers. I was the top career politician here. I stole the most, so I get a kingdom. I get a la la la. So those kings and the merchants and all that, they're crying because she died. And Satan's like, game over. Fun is over. You had the fun time while you were on earth before the trib happened. And now you've been having a lot more fun here in the first 3.5 years of trib. And I'm taking it all away. Yes, I am. And it's going to be gray, gray, gray now. And you got to take my mark. You got to worship this image. And the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in you. And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in you. Babylon. Remember? Because he said, come out of her, my people. That's, we're the candle. Don't put your candle under a bushel. He said, the light of a candle. When he said, come out of her, my people, that was the candle inside of Babylon. Just like we're the light of the world. We've got to shine a light. When we're not shining a light, we're not the salt of the earth. We're just nothing. And you don't have a candle salvation and hide it under a bushel. So he's saying, come out of her, my people, remember? And now he says, the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in you. And the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in you. Like, no more. Okay, let me see. I mean, the bridegroom and the bride, that could be the rapture. But why is the bridegroom in Babylon? That could be the first 3.5 years where Jesus is on Mount Zion. And yet in, where was it, 14? He says, yeah, he's like, I'm on Mount Zion here. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount of Zion. I think he's been here the whole time, beginning of the trip. He's ruling the nations, But you don't have to agree. Anyway, because it says, yeah, the voice of the bridegroom, but it could just be Jesus was speaking, because the bride, he said, come out of her, my people. And the bridegroom lives within us. Jesus is in us. So maybe that's what that means. Okay. And for your merchants were the great men of the earth, for by your sorceries were all nations deceived. Yeah. There's UFOs probably. There's freaking 4 demons from the river Euphrates with a 200 million man army that's killing 1/3 of people. You got all kinds of locusts or 5 months, but they can't touch the 144,000. So whether you want to think those locusts are first trib, second trib, those 144,000 are also around, whichever one you're saying it is, because it says, do not touch the sealed ones of God, the 144,000. So, and in her was found the blood. Okay, did I finish everything? Oops, I got a booger. I hope I didn't have one hanging on. Okay. Sorceries. And in her was found, because remember, she's the whore. She was killing all the saints all the time. She was killing the Christians. And in her was found the blood of prophets and of saints and of all who were slain upon the earth. All. Everybody that was slain, saved and non-saved. But mostly it's these prophets and saints, and all who were slain. Okay, I have here, 1910, testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. So they were obviously testifying about Jesus. So, okay, well, anyway, I guess, and then I had accidentally found that thing. Where did I find it that said, God judged the whore. He avenged. But yet, the 10 kings are who killed her. But God used them. But I also read you that verse I accidentally ran across that was good too. That I said it in the beginning because God, it was something like, and I don't know how to paraphrase it, but I know what I'm saying is that God made them do his will to be evil. I just read it to you in the beginning when I accidentally found out about the other one. Maybe it was, what did I say, 11? I don't know. But anyway, okay, well, that's enough. Oh, and this is the longest video. But shoot, you guys are going to be sorry I ever started making videos about this stuff. And, I mean, because, you know, this is just one chapter or two. This goes on like this for hours on end. And I haven't even finished, like, explaining other stuff. This crack in the sky open stuff with Jesus, I think those, and the earthquakes, I made a comment. I mean, all of that stuff is so descriptive and it's so detailed. And then, I mean, there's a million things that should be pieced together, crossing back and forth throughout all of these books that would make it like really very descriptive. So anyway, okay, well, bye you guys. God bless you. Bye. Thanks for listening.